Hey everyone, and welcome back to The Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here today because we are diving into a massive, sweeping shift in public school operations. If you've been keeping tabs on the Matatech agenda, you already know there's a huge push right now to enhance the delivery of quality basic education, all while really stepping up to protect teacher welfare. So today, we're going to look at the exact policy that was designed to take that vision and make it a reality on the ground.
But before we really get going, I want you to just look at this number on the screen. 50. A comprehensive 2018 teacher workload balance study revealed a seriously startling reality. Public school teachers were juggling approximately 50 common ancillary services. Literally 50 extra administrative duties piled squarely on top of their regular, everyday teaching loads. I mean, imagine trying to perfectly execute your lesson plans when your brain is being pulled in 50 different directions completely outside of the classroom.
Well, that brings us right to this, the official DepEd Order No. 002 series of 2024. This mandate was created as a direct authoritative solution to combat that severe teacher burnout caused by all those understaffed support services. It's a highly decisive move by the Department of Education to structurally change what a teacher's workday actually looks like. So here is our roadmap for today. We'll quickly cover the teacher workload problem, dive into DepEd Order No. 002, see exactly which tasks are removed, figure out who takes over those tasks, and finally look at the 60-day transition plan. Let's jump in.
Starting with Section 1, the teacher workload problem.
You know, to really get why this policy is such a big deal, it's incredibly important to understand the sheer weight placed on our educators over the years. The environment essentially forced them to shift their precious focus away from actual teaching and grading and pivot toward mere operational survival. And the data totally backs this up. That 2018 study identified that because there was a lack of standardized guidelines and review mechanisms, teachers simply had to absorb these administrative duties. When schools were understaffed, the default solution was unfortunately just passing the paperwork to the teachers. Research proved this completely eroded both teaching quality and teacher well-being. Which brings us to Section 2, DepEd Order No. 002.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the sheer simplicity of the goal. The policy's primary, unrelenting aim is to completely remove administrative tasks from public school teachers. The logic is crystal clear here. By stripping away the bureaucratic paperwork, educators can actually maximize their time doing what they do best, actual classroom teaching.
And to make sure there are zero loopholes, Section 3 of the policy gives us a very strict boundary. It defines administrative tasks as those related to the effective and efficient operations of schools, programs, or projects which are specifically not directly related to teaching and academic learning. This clear-cut definition makes these duties officially off-limits for educators.
Now contrast that previous definition with this one. Under the order, teachers are explicitly defined as personnel occupying positions directly engaged in the delivery of instruction. The mandate reinforces that a teacher's sole focus should be acting as an effective facilitator of learning. No more gray areas. If it isn't instruction, it just isn't a teacher's job.
All right, Section 3, which tasks are removed?
Let's look at this incredibly satisfying list of responsibilities that are finally being lifted off the shoulders of our educators. Teachers are no longer responsible for personnel administration. They're no longer the property or physical facilities custodians. General administrative support, financial management, and records management, totally removed from their workload. Even the heavy program management duties, like running school feeding programs or managing disaster risk reduction, are gone. The policy states that school heads and non-teaching personnel now have the sole responsibility for all of these areas.
As you can see, there is a pretty stark contrast between the old way and the new way. The old way had teachers acting as part-time property custodians, makeshift financial managers, and feeding program coordinators. The new way? Teachers focus completely on classroom instruction to realize quality learning. It's a total paradigm shift back to the absolute fundamentals of education.
Moving into Section 4, who takes over?
Because, obviously, a paradigm shift like this brings up an immediate, practical concern. It's the big question, right? If teachers aren't doing this, who will? How does all that essential paperwork actually get done day to day without teachers doing the heavy lifting? Well, the Department of Education has actually outlined some very specific strategic staffing solutions to bridge this gap.
Let's break down the bureaucratic jargon here. The department is leaning on two main strategies. First up is clustering.
Schools division offices, or SDOs, can cluster deployed non-teaching personnel based on specific human resource parameters. And if that isn't quite enough, they move to the second strategy, which is hiring. Schools and SDOs can hire personnel locally under a contract of service or job order, and they can charge this to their maintenance and other operating expenses, otherwise known as MOE, or even other alternative funding sources.
And this brilliantly illustrates how the responsibility is distributed across all levels of governance. The central office provides the tools, procedures, and even additional MOE funding if they need it. The regional directors ensure everyone is adhering to the rules, and they build regional plans. The SDOs actually conduct the workload audits and coordinate that local hiring. And finally, the school heads are tasked with ensuring strict compliance on the ground using their specific personnel assignment tools. Basically, no single school is left to figure this whole thing out alone.
And finally, Section 5, the 60-day transition plan. Because, let's be real, having a great policy on paper is one thing, but execution is absolutely everything. The order's transitory provision dictates a strict sense of urgency. SDOs are required to immediately roll out these changes within a period not exceeding 60 calendar days. There's no waiting until next semester or the next school year. These changes are happening right now.
The order gives them 4 distinct, sequential steps to make this transition unfold smoothly on the ground. Step 1. Cluster the schools that just don't have enough non-teaching staff, keeping it to a maximum of 3 schools per cluster. Step 2. Officially deploy the administrative support personnel to those clusters. Step 3. Immediately transfer the existing administrative tasks away from the teachers and hand them over to these designated personnel. And Step 4, if you're still shorthanded after all that, hire additional administrative support personnel. It's a highly structured, step-by-step, unburdening process.
So the crucial point here is captured perfectly in the rationale of the order itself. The core of quality basic education is a vibrant and quality teaching workforce. Honestly, that is what this whole explainer anchors back to. By protecting the workload and the working hours of our teachers, the department is actively protecting the very foundation of the education system itself. Which leaves us with this final thought. When you remove 50 ancillary tasks and return all that time to lesson planning, student engagement, and frankly professional rest, how will this renewed focus on actual teaching transform the daily lives of Filipino educators and their students? It's a massive structural shift, and witnessing its long-term impact on the quality of learning is going to be truly fascinating to watch. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today to unpack DepEd Order No. 002. Keep questioning, keep learning, and I will see you in the next explainer.